Coming up on Roanoke County Today in September, we learn about crime statistics and about a new designation the county has received. This and more coming up on RCT.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me today is Roanoke County Police Chief Howard Hall. Welcome to our show.
Hi, how are you?
Doing fine, thanks. So recently you presented to the Board of Supervisors an update on police activities for the past year, and some of the statistics you covered were about crimes and traffic crashes. So tell us a little bit about the crime statistics.
All right, we are constantly monitoring crime statistics in the county to see obviously what's going on, where it's going on, and how we might need to shift our resources. So what I covered with them was some data from the last few years that shows, on the good news side, burglaries, which is a crime that we see somewhat frequently in the county, has been trending down and continues to do so. Theft from motor vehicle, which is a category crime that has really been troublesome for us for the last few years, is actually down a little bit so far this year. We still encourage people to lock their cars wherever they are, because that's the best way to prevent that. So we hope that some of the more favorable numbers are a result of people listening to that message. We have had this year a few more robberies than we usually have. The good news there is that it's still a small number, and it's not something that we can really get a pattern towards. Which again is good news. You need a bigger data set for that.
Sure.
And we also target a couple areas in the county through our data-driven approaches to crime and traffic safety initiative that focuses resources in areas that tend to have higher levels of activity. We have two of those that we've been working on for the past several years, and really good news in those areas. We see pretty substantial crime reductions before and after that initiative, almost across the board in those areas, and even in some specific areas that have historically been a little bit higher than other places, we've seen them trending down. So we're really happy about that, and I think that's a reflection of the hard work that our police officers do in the field and in conjunction with our communities. Sure. Helping them with crime prevention and understanding how to keep themselves and their property safe.
Sure. And how about traffic crashes?
Well, traffic crashes are trending up a little bit in Roanoke County, not in huge numbers, but for the past 4 or 5 years, a little bit every year, which is why we try to focus our traffic enforcement efforts into those areas. I mentioned to the board that if you look at our top 10 crash locations in the county so far this year, 8 of them are actually on 419. 5 of those 8 are sort of directly around the Tanglewood Mall area. So that really highlights the need for the bigger initiative around the 419 project, part of which is to take a look at the traffic flow there and make some roadway improvements that we hope in the long run will help us to bring those traffic crashes down. Fortunately, most of those crashes are minor. We're not having people get seriously injured, but there probably aren't too many people around here that haven't been, congestion down there, and when a traffic crash happens, that just makes that worse, and sometimes even causes other crashes. But just like with our crime numbers in the areas that we've targeted through our DDAX initiative, we're actually seeing crash reductions in those areas. So that's around Brambleton Avenue and Electric and Williamson Road and Peters Creek. We've seen some positive numbers taking place in those areas.
Sure. Now, all of the statistics that you use, how do you use that information in police work?
Well, we use it both long-term and short-term. So we have a crime analyst that works full-time reviewing activities taking place in the county. If we see a pattern that's taking place, sort of right this minute, short-term, that gives us information for our officers to use to try to identify who's responsible for that. So for instance, a series of crimes occur, burglaries, for instance, and our detectives are investigating those crimes, and our patrol officers are paying particular attention to those areas in an effort to identify who's responsible and make the appropriate arrests. Longer term, we're looking at where in Roanoke County do we have higher than normal incidents, whether that's crime or crash, and that's really what the DDAX initiative is about, identifying those areas, and then for a longer period of time, ensuring that our officers are in those areas, being active, making traffic stops, engaging with the community, trying to work the prevention side to drive those numbers down.
Great. That's very, very, very important to what you all do, certainly. Well, another area that you talked about was the ongoing opioid problem that's occurring, not just here, across the country. So tell us a little more about the data that you collect for the area and what your response is.
Well, we're trying to monitor as closely as we can the incidences of overdoses in the county, which is it's a little tricky because not all of that data is necessarily available to us. For instance, somebody that just goes to a hospital or a doctor because they were overdosing, and that may not be an incident that we become aware of.
Right.
We do get calls and respond, as does fire and rescue. And I guess from a state perspective, the good news is Virginia is not suffering as badly as some of our neighboring states. The bad news is that the incidence of opioid overdoses is going up significantly across the state and in the Roanoke Valley. We have already in 2017 doubled the number of both non-fatal and fatal overdoses that we saw in 2016. So that illustrates that this is a problem that's affecting all parts of the state and the country.
Right.
It's affecting all parts of the county. This is not a problem that's limited to a particular area or a particular group of people, age group, socioeconomic status. It's really across the board.
Right.
And an opioid addiction is extremely difficult for someone to get over. While there's treatment available and we try to refer people when we can, it's a very difficult process for people to go through and be successful.
Sure.
From a valley-wide perspective, we're working with our partners in law enforcement and in the prevention side and with our prosecutors and our educators to try to help people understand not just that we have a problem, but what to do about it and how to prevent it. There's actually a group that we refer to as Roanoke Valley Heroin Task Force that has been very active on the public education side particularly. It's led by the Commonwealth Attorney in Salem, but our enforcement folks work with them, prevention folks, the Attorney General's office, a variety of others, and they've been very successful in trying to reach people. For instance, last school year, every high school in Roanoke City, Roanoke County, and Salem had an evening presentation for the public. And we ended up with slightly more than 2,000 people across all that. Quite a few of our schools have done in-house programs for their students. Again, last school year, and that touched somewhere around 8,000 students. And the idea there is to educate particularly young people and their parents about the dangers of using drugs, and particularly opiates, so that we don't have people making the bad decision to use a drug, which could lead them to addictions later on. And unfortunately, it can lead to the overdose, which can be fatal and
Right.
are being fatal, unfortunately, much too frequently.
Right. So lots of concerns here in the county, but it's good that you all are certainly looking at those statistics and seeing where you need to focus even more effort. So, well, thank you for sharing the information with us, and we look forward to another update later on.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll be right back.
Did you know that pet waste is a pollutant? Pet waste can transmit harmful bacteria into our storm drains and waterways, which contaminates our water supply.
I am not the poop fairy. I have to poop outside, and I need you to scoop the poop.
Help keep our waterways clean by sealing pet waste in a plastic bag for disposal with the trash. Bury it in the yard, away from vegetable gardens, or flush it down the toilet.
Do the right thing to keep our waterways clean and scoop the poop.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me today is Roanoke County's Economic Development Director, Jill Loop. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Sure. And So we're really excited today to talk to you about a significant designation that Roanoke County recently received. And so tell us what that designation is and then a little more about it.
It was great news for Roanoke County when we received the 2017 top mid-sized community in the nation from the 4th Economy Community Index. So we're very excited about that.
Sure. And what is that?
Well, 4th Economy is a national community and economic development consulting firm, and they independently analyzed mid-sized markets across the country, and what they were looking at was economic competitiveness. The data sets that they looked at were about 19 distinct measures of communities across the country.
Okay, and tell us about the key metrics that were used in the scoring for this index.
Well, they looked at 5 key metrics, and that included investment, talent, sustainability, place, and diversity. And Roanoke County ranked very high in these categories.
Mm-hmm. And so the basis for the designation, tell us a little more about that.
Well, this designation was meant to score, to serve as a benchmark for communities across the country, and it basically evaluated the community's strength and resiliency and competitiveness. And Roanoke County in particular scored high on talent, diversity, and place. So we're very strong in these areas.
And what are some of the measures that set Roanoke County apart from all of the other communities?
Well, our low unemployment rate, our community health. There are other measures that we were very high on: travel time to work, affordability in housing and transportation, and population diversity. All of these things make Roanoke County a great place to live and invest. And over the past several years, community health has also played into the evaluation of Roanoke. And you know, our health system here is strong. The investments that we've made in recreation and our outdoor branding, they're all playing into our being a community that's getting recognized now across the country.
Sure. And what does this mean for not only your department, but for Roanoke County as a whole?
It confirms that we're a quality place to live and to invest. It helps us market the brand of Roanoke being a great place for people to want to visit, to live, and to set up a business.
Great. Well, I'm sure this will certainly attract more businesses and people to our area, which is what we'd love to see.
Well, and placemaking is also a key component of our strategic direction as we move forward in the county. So to be recognized as a quality place and have key metrics that score us in that direction is strong for the community.
It's very attractive.
Yes, it is.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing more about this with us.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll be right back.
It is important for both restaurants and homeowners to help keep our waterways clean and safe. Never pour cooking oil or grease into sinks, parking lots, or streets. The oil and grease can enter our waterways through storm drains. Always try to recycle the oil and grease or put it into the trash. If you have a spill, clean it up by using a drying agent like cat litter. Never hose down spills. Keep dumpster and trash can lids closed. Restaurants should clean floor mats and garbage cans in a mop sink. It's easy to keep our waterways clean by doing the right thing.
I'm Brian Klingenpeel, and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for Roanoke County Fire and Rescue. September is National Preparedness Month, and with all of the recent events in Southeast Texas related to Harvey, we all need to be reminded of the importance of being prepared for emergencies. The theme this year is disasters don't plan ahead, but you can. Make sure to have a plan for your family in case of an emergency. Practice the plan and make an emergency kit that can sustain you and your family for at least 3 days. For more information and resources, you can visit roanokecountyva.gov/firerescue or ready.gov.
Do you have a neighborhood concern in Roanoke County? You can now report zoning violations online by using the Neighborhood Concern Submission Form. Simply select a zoning code and add any details about your concern. Provide your name and contact info and choose to opt in so we can provide you with follow-up reports. Enter an address for your concern or select the location from the map and click Submit Entry. You will receive a case number that lets you track the status of your concern at any time. Submit your neighborhood concerns at roanokecountyva.gov/zoning app.
Welcome back to the show. Here with me this morning is Amber Tiller with the Department of Social Services, and we want to introduce you today and then talk about one of the most important programs that we have here at Social Services. So welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
So first tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So I actually came from Liberty University. I just graduated in May. So about 2 months in to post-graduation, I was looking for a job, particularly in marketing, and I saw social services had one, so I studied journalism for my 4 years at Liberty with a photography minor, and amidst that I worked on social media projects, stories for the newspaper. I worked as an editor for about a year and a half and then switched over to their social media editor, so I had a little under 3 years of newspaper and media work under my belt. So that's where I'm coming from. And I've always lived around here in Roanoke County, so it's something near and dear to my heart.
Sure. So that background in communications and marketing is a perfect tie-in with what you're doing now at Social Services. So tell us what your title is and then what you're responsible for.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the Family Services Specialist, Resource Recruiter, and amidst all of that title, I recruit mainly foster parents, and I use marketing skills to reach out to them, to use social media, and to figure out good platforms to really work with people and get at their level, where they're at, to talk to them just about foster care. Our main goal is, in my opinion, not everyone is going to be able to foster. It might not be tangible for their families, but in the same regard, they can help. Whether that's offering their services, whether that's offering their help, or offering solace as a home for a foster child, or helping one of the birth families. So it really is building a community based on that hope behind just something more than what we're seeing right now, if that makes sense.
Sure, sure. So there is a great need here in the county for foster parents. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So as far as numbers go, we have over 90 kids in care right now that are either held in, well, not held, they're housed in therapeutic foster homes, or they are with our residential foster families, or they might be in group homes. And we do have a big need for teens in the area, and then sometimes sibling sets. So as far as the logistics, I mean, we don't have kids coming into care every day, so it's not the biggest turnover. You're not going to, enter into foster parenting class and then right after you get out of foster parenting class have a foster child. Some of our parents wait for months, and that might be because they're looking for an infant. And some of our parents get a call within, either a couple months or really soon after they finish the class. And it just depends. So we have two options of care, which is a long-term option and a respite option. And some of our foster parents are specifically respite. They just help out when the parents need a break, and they're there to really support, probably sometimes to do emergency placements. So both of those needs definitely are important in the area, whether you're looking to foster for a longer time, whether you're looking to just help a foster family work off of a weekend and just get some vacation time in to take a break and have either the younger kids go into respite care because they can't go to an amusement park, and so you take the older kids. So it's just needs like that. And it's also some of the other, I think, experiential, tangible needs. So for some of the foster kids, it might be helpful if people offered an event or if they offered their services. One example I use really often is you might own a farm, and we might bring the foster family out, and the kids might experience milking a cow for the first time, which sounds ridiculous, but that may mean the world to a child who's never experienced that. So it's just offering the community as a whole a different vantage point. So the needs are kind of across the board, whether it's something you could do for a couple of hours by offering an event or offering your services, to something you could be doing for a lifetime if you have a foster child that you're fostering, and then you might end up adopting them eventually, which isn't always the case. But when that does happen, then you have a family member now.
Right.
So it does range, but specifically in the area, teens and some sibling sets are a big focus area right now.
So you have a lot of options for families, but you are certainly looking for more families. So what are some of the things you're doing? I know you have a program or class that people can come to find out about fostering. Tell us about that.
So we have casual events, and then we have more formal events. The casual are our community conversations, and what that's based off of is we want to start a conversation about foster care, and then we want people to really branch out of that and see, how can I help? How can I be of service? And then that ties into our PRIDE class. And PRIDE is an acronym based off of parental resources. The PRIDE classes basically focus on just teaching people about foster parenting. It is a 9-week course. We have 7 Thursdays, 2 Saturdays, and they're longer classes, but they're completely worth it. And so we'll have couples and singles come into that class, and they work with us from the first orientation to the rest of the 9 weeks. And those are a couple hour-long classes, so they're the more formal setting, but our community conversations kind of prep for that. So we have those to get the conversation started. If you have ever had any questions about foster care, we have an upcoming one in September. We'll have them monthly. All except for the month of December, because December is generally crazy. But other than that, we always have a monthly community conversations just to talk about the need. And then the PRIDE classes start usually seasonally, so spring, summer, and fall.
Great. Now, if people are interested in learning more about foster parenting, is there a website people can go to?
Yeah, so roanokecounty.gov/DSS is where our main information is going to be about our contact information. It'll give our director's name, but also Roanoke County's Facebook page is where you're going to see a lot of the foster parenting connections, a lot of the community conversations, and PRIDE classes orientation-wise are going to be pushed out through Roanoke County's Facebook page. And eventually there will be a connection on our DSS page to where you can just sign up and learn more, whether that looks like community involvement or long-term or short-term foster care.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, and we hope that our viewers learn a little bit more about foster parenting, and we'll reach out to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Have you ever wanted to find a book, read the latest issue of a magazine, or do research at your local library on a Sunday? Well, now you can. Our South County and Vinton libraries are now open from 1 to 5 on Sunday afternoons. This means that you'll have access to our extensive collection of books, DVDs, and audiobooks, as well as our library's many computers and, of course, our friendly, helpful staff. We want to be part of your Sunday afternoons. For more information, contact the South County or Vinton libraries.
Roanoke County has launched a new generation of public geographic information system GIS applications that allow greater and easier access to the county's mapping, tax parcel, zoning, and government services data. The new application can be found in the new Maps and Apps gallery through the county's GIS page. A separate desktop computer application leverages new technology to provide citizens with three-dimensional imagery of the county. Efficient delivery of technology services is a core mission for Roanoke County's GIS Services Group. To check out the new technology, visit roanokecountyva.gov/GIS.
Have you ever had an emergency? Immediately, you call 911, and for that instant, all you can do is put your life in the hands of the men and women who come to save the day. As an EMT, you step into that world and make a huge impact in the lives of people who need help. As an EMT, you could be the one person who could change a life forever. This is the mission of the Vinton First Aid Crew. The Vinton First Aid Crew is looking for volunteers who would like to help with their community. Some of the benefits of becoming a volunteer include training opportunities, working in an amazing building with up-to-date technology, having a flexible schedule, become part of the active competition team, volunteer incentives for future jobs, and more. For more information on becoming a volunteer with the Vinton First Aid Crew, call 540-983-0641, send an email to volunteer@vintonems.com, or you can visit their website at vintonems.com.
On October 14th at Explore Park in the Visitor Center from 2 to 4, we have a wonderfully intriguing free event. Marion McConnell, who is an author and also a movie maker, will be with us, and she will be talking about the Catawba murder hole in Botetourt County. There is a fabulous cave there, and she has actually bought the property, and she's also a caver or a splunker, whichever word you would like to use, and she will actually be there for 2 hours talking with the public regarding all of the lore and the mystery and the tales about this fabulous cave in Botetourt County. She also will be showing excerpts from her movies. She will also be signing her books. And then in addition to that, she's also going to be talking about just caves and sinkholes and bats in general, not just specific to that one particular cave. But it's going to be a fascinating afternoon with a fascinating individual. It's October 14th, Saturday, from 2 to 4 p.m. at Roanoke County's Explore Park, which is milepost 115 off the Blue Ridge Parkway. Just come on out and enjoy the day with us, and, you know, come early and hike a little bit before, or bring your fishing license and do some fishing when you're there. But no reservations are needed at all. On October 28th, we are doing this in collaboration with the South County Library, and also it is a statewide initiative to commemorate World War I and World War II. It's actually the 100th anniversary for World War I and the 75th anniversary for World War II. So we are bringing in a Profiles of Honor tour. This is a mobile museum which is touring all across the state of Virginia, and we are lucky enough to have it here on October 28th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. This event is free and open to the public. It's actually a mobile museum, and it actually contains all kinds of artifacts and memorabilia and fascinating information, things you probably don't even know regarding World War I and World War II, specifically some of the things pertaining to Virginia. In addition to that, it also has a full-scale model of a Stuart tank, which I'm sure is going to be just really, really interesting to see. And in addition to that, locally, we have the 8th Air Force Fellowship, which will be with us that day. That is a Roanoke-based group that originally started out with pilots and crews from World War II. But it has expanded to include other veterans as well, from the Army and the Navy as well. But what they will have with them is their personal artifacts and their personal memorabilia and their fascinating and personal stories. They're actually going to be inside the library, and they will be there to answer any questions the public may have and just to talk about their experiences. It's going to be a very, very heartfelt, very educational opportunity for the public. I think, anybody, I think, school-age children would certainly be fascinated, particularly if they're studying that part in history in school. I think some folks who also had parents or grandparents that were involved in either World War I or World War II, a history buff. I mean, I think there's just an amazing number of individuals who would just be very, very interested in coming out to commemorate these two events. This is October 28th, which is a Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.